Hello everyone and welcome back to ESRL. We are here in China today for round number 4 of this 12 race season, and it's going to be a good one by the looks of things. We've got full qualifying today. We've got 18 drivers as well. Let's get everything on the screen. There we go. It should be fine. So drivers just looking to stay out of the bottom 3, I believe, at this stage. Perhaps the bottom 4. I'm not sure how the game's going to do it, but something like that. I'm going to assume it's going to be the bottom 3. Sometimes the game glitches out and makes it the bottom 4 or bottom 5 or whatever. But knocks out one more person than should get knocked out. But that's okay. We'll just assume that it's the bottom 3. And then obviously Q2, you've got to get yourself in the top 10, and then Q3 is the final shootout. So let's ride on board with the driver who is first across the line. It's going to be Scott as he heads towards turn 1, taking the esports driver line as if he's that fast. And he comes through down the gears, a little bit of the loss of the rear, turns in far too early for turn 2 and has to correct that. And then into turn 3 he goes, and bins it straight away on the exit. So we will not be riding on board with Scott for this lap after all. Let's try Zuba instead in the kick Sauber. It's been a while since we've seen Zuba on track. So it's good to see him out there as he heads across the line to start his first run. Down towards turn 1 he goes. And down the gears, but very, very wide for turn 2. That will have cost him some time as he heads through. Again, fairly deep into turn 3 as well, but through turn 4 he goes, and on the straight towards turn 6 now. Not using any overtake in his ERS, he just wants to get a lap on the board. Maybe he doesn't know he can use overtake, it could be that situation, but yeah, Zuba is a long time OG of the APP ESRL sort of alliance, I suppose. He's been around for a very long time, since F1 2020, I'm pretty sure. And he's a little bit squirrely there through the double left-hander, and now into the final sector. Very tricky to get the power down here, and especially out of here. And Zuba, is he going to prove that? No, he's full throttle on the exit, and nearly loses the rear. Just a little bit of loss there, but he's all right as he heads down the back straight towards the hairpin, where we're going to see a lot of overtakes, a lot of action we're going to see at this corner in the race. Scott sets a lap in the end, but it's not going to be anything competitive, as Zuba is going to come across the line to set the first proper competitive lap time through the final corner. It's not the best lap he's ever done, I don't think, but it's a 34.1 to start things off. It's going to be Clemo on an out lap, and then Finley on the inters. He's trying to get through to Q2 on the intermediate tyres, which is, I mean, if he can pull it off, then fair enough, but I'm not sure if he's going to quite be able to do that. What about Lancer? Whoa, big slide through the hairpin for Lancer, completely locks the rears as he goes through the last corner for the McLaren driver. Where's Finley going to go on his inters? P2, okay, Finley. Jacko goes 33.5, Lancer, that's more like it, a 31.8 from the McLaren driver. Jacko did his lap on the mediums. Mahmoud also did his lap on the mediums and beats Jacko by 1,000th of a second. What about Patty Pat? What can he do in the Red Bull? He comes across the line at 34.6. Clemo as well, also on a lap at the moment. And I believe Scott's probably gone for another run, so let's ride on board with him. He has indeed. He's heading down towards the hairpin now. Used almost all of his ERS, and he's going to drain everything he's got left through these last couple of corners. He's got his teammate ahead of him, that is Barvish in the other Alpine, and Scott through the last corner a little bit squirrely on the exit. Runs out of ERS as well, but across the line a 33.0 for the league owner, and he goes up into second place. And I'm not quite sure what's going to be enough for safety in Q1. I reckon that's probably safe for Scott, I would say. Reshko on a lap, the other Alpine of Barvish, of course, on a lap. Clamo is also giving it a go on the intermediates, seeing if he can get through on those tyres. It would be, I mean, very impressive if he can, but I have my doubts that Clamo can. Although Clamo has been incredibly fast and incredibly strong this season. So who knows? He comes across the line and it's a 34.7, and yeah, he won't be getting through with that time. So he's going to have to go again. But only 3/10 off Finley. Clamo is improving at a huge rate at the moment. And, you know, especially with Steven Vasso not here today, this man's a big threat for this title, Clamo. He's level on points with Vasso at the moment. No one's particularly close either in points. So Clamo, I think, is probably one of the favourites for the title this season so far. We have only had 3 races, but he's certainly made an impression so far this season. Reshka goes to P2. That will be very, very safely through for the Williams driver. Hello to Speed in the chat. He says, good evening, mate. Hope you're doing well. I am, thank you, Speed. It looks once again like changeable conditions race. Interesting. With quali is all clear. Yes, we just had a changeable conditions race in Hungary in APP just an hour ago. And Speed actually ended up winning that race ahead of me in P2. So it was a good race overall, though. It was great to be part of. Very clean and very, very good fun all round. But yeah, it started off wet and then became dry fairly early on. So we'll see if it's the same here today. Barvish has gone to P3 in the meantime. We've also got Lou Simeons in the Ferrari, always a little bit wide there through turn 1. Eisenborg also coming through sector 2 in his Haas. And here's the cockpit cam champion, Chalda, in the Ferrari. He's on his first run, as well as Mahmoud improved to 4th place on the medium tyres. He should be safely through to Q2 with that lap, and so the medium tyre gambit has worked quite well for him there. Finley's gone out on the softs, which is a surprise. Thought he'd go out on the mediums for sure. Patty Pat's gone to P6. Jay Cole starting a lap as well. Chalda, 51.2 in the middle sector. But we're going to ride on board with Eisenborg because he's going to be the next across the line, I believe, to set a lap. He's coming down the back straight now. DRS open all the way down. Can't wait to see what carnage is going to happen at this hairpin in the race. Eisenborg through the penultimate corner and down towards that final left-hander. He goes in his Haas. What's it going to be? 30% left in the battery. He heads across the line, and his first run is 33.4. I don't know if that's entirely safe, as Chalda goes to pole position. Well, P1, I suppose. Wouldn't call it pole position. It's only Q1. But 31.2 from the Ferrari driver. He's set a marker there for sure. Lou Simeon's only a 37.3. So he'll have to do a lot better than that. It's probably not a competitive lap time. He's coming around to try and set another time right now. We'll see where his true pace lies. Finley and Clamo. Oh, goodness me. Finley sliding around the final corner just as we ride on board with him. But he's heading down towards turn 1 now. That's Jay Cole up to P3 just behind him in the Haas. That should see him safely through as well. And Finley and Clamo just need to get a clean lap on the board, and they should be safely through as well with their pace that they've shown this season so far. Johnny Stokes heading down towards the last couple of corners as well. His speed alcoholic just behind him. Trugster around the final corner. What can he do in his V-carb? It's not looking bad. It's looking very good, in fact. Second place for Trugster. He is definitely through to Q2 with that one. Johnny Stokes has used all his ERS already, so he's got to be careful with that. But he comes around the final corner, and that is also going to be very safely through. Both V-carbs, 2 and 3. What about speed alcoholic? Here he comes to the last couple of corners as well. Where's Zoxyrus? He's coming through sector 1, so we'll keep a side eye on the Mercedes driver as well. Spiedalcock through the final corner for the South African, and it is a 31.8 on the mediums. I think that gamble on the mediums has definitely worked for him, and he will be safely through. That was Lou Simeons to P9 as well in his Ferrari, so I think anyone above Eisenborg, I would say, is, well, maybe above Patty, I'd say is safe at the moment. Scott maybe could be in a little bit of trouble because Clemo, Finley, and Zoxyrus have still got a set laps. And actually, you know what? It's not that cut and dry at all. I think Lou Simeons is probably safe. Jacko goes to P8 though, so maybe he isn't. I think everyone from Barvish up is probably safe. I'm going to completely redefine my estimate there. I reckon Barvish is safe and everyone above him is safe, but everyone below has got to watch their back a bit. I don't think they're entirely safe. Finley, Clemo, and Zoxyrus have yet to do laps. Zuba will probably stay at the bottom, but who knows where his pace is going to be. Zoxyrus goes P7 on the mediums. He will be safely through with that, I would have thought. But Zuba, Clemo, Finley, but especially Clemo and Finley, I think. Finley's come back in the pits and come out on the mediums, so he must have mucked up his soft lap somewhere. So he'll be annoyed about that one. But Clemo through the last couple of corners. This is looking like he's going to get himself safely into Q2. And he's going to put, I think, Patty, Eisenborg, Zuba, and Scott, Mahmoud, Lou Simeons are definitely add a little bit of risk here. Clemo goes to P7. He will be safely through very easily. 0.007 of a second faster than his teammate on those medium tyres. Zuba, is he on a lap? No, he's not at the moment. What about Scott? Yes, he is. He's coming to the last couple corners. He's used almost all his ERS again, so he's going to be running out again as he goes towards the line, I would have thought. Very hesitant to get the power down, I noticed from his throttle usage there. Through the final corner, he's got a little more ERS in the tank to spend. He uses everything, and it's only 13th. I don't think that's safe for Scott. 1.5 seconds off of P1, of course, but I don't think that's particularly safe. Mahmoud, Patty Pat, Eisenborg could definitely improve on that, but not Zuba, as he does a very nice 360 through turn 2 there. But yes, that will definitely not be an improvement for the Sauber driver. Finley, of course, yet to improve. He should see himself easily into that top 15. Hello to Extrac in the chat. Oh, look, that this season is not this track. I assume he means APP F1. He's not a fan of it in APP, even though he basically won the race in Tier 2 last season. He only didn't win because of a newbie that raced and was way too fast for Tier 2. But anyway, Finley around the final corner to start his next run. He's actually not got a lot of time left. Only 3 minutes left in this first part of qualifying. Scott coming through, he's not on a lap. He's not going to have a lot of time to set a lap, actually. He's going to be cutting this very, very close. And you can tell that he knows because he's using his ERS on an in-lap. He knows he's not got a lot of time here. Lance is out for another lap again for some reason. Maybe didn't get the memo that it's full quali. He comes around the final corner. He's not even improving, Lancer. And he's just wasted a set of tyres to go P3. There we go. But yeah, he's... I mean, he was already very safely through. He did not need to do that at all. Patty Pat very wide there out of turn 6. What about Finley on the mediums? Zuba obviously not on a competitive lap. He will have to try again. Whereas Scott, he's just come into the pits. Oh, he got double stacked as well behind his teammate, and that could be curtains for Scott in terms of going any faster this session. So he's going to have to rely on the drivers below him not improving. One driver who's definitely going to beat him is Finley. Here he comes on his medium tyres through the back straight down to the last couple of corners. Gets nicely through the hairpin, very nicely down the gears. Lovely braking from CPI Finley as he heads to the final corner now. 25% battery, but he's still got plenty left in the tank to deploy down to the line, and that is, well, pole position on the mediums. Okay, Finley. So, yeah, pretty obvious. I don't think quite expected him to be P1, but anyway, Patty Pat improves to 14th. That should see him through, I think, but it's going to be close. He's 8 thousandths behind Lou Simeons. He's not going to have a chance to improve either. He is going to be out of time, I think. It's going to be to the second, but I think he will run out of time. Mahmoud on a lap as well. He needs to improve. He's in the bottom 3 at the moment. He did a lap on the mediums that I thought would see him safely through, but it hasn't done. Everyone else has improved quite a bit. Eisenborg, very unsafe as well. Zuba's in the pits. He is out. So it's all about not being in that bottom 2, apart from Zuba. Scott's still in the pits. He's not come out. He's not going to have time. He's just going to have to rely on Mahmoud not beating him. And I don't think that wish is going to come true. Mahmoud did his first lap on the mediums. This one's on the softs. He's taking no chances this time. And the driver who got driver of the day back in Japan a couple of weeks ago, he's coming to China now, looking to get himself into Q2. 3/10. Oh, but he loses the rear there. That will have cost him a couple of tenths, I would have thought. This could be close. He's only a tenth behind Scott. In fact, I expected him to be improving a lot more than 3/10 in the middle sector. He comes to the last couple of corners. Yeah, I agree, Speed. He certainly is. But here comes Mahmoud to the last couple of corners. Someone improved. I'm not sure who it was, but the Aston Martin is who we're watching because he is under pressure to try and knock Scott out of qualifying here through the final corner. He's run out of ERS. Can he do it? It's going to be close. He gets it just about by 3/10 in the end. Eisenborg, can he get himself into the top 15 and knock Patty Pat into the drop zone? What can Eisenborg do? It's not enough. He stays 17th. So it's going to be Scott, Eisenborg and Zuba who are guaranteed to go out in Q1. And then after that, it's just whoever the game feels like taking out as well. Because sometimes it just takes someone else out for no reason. But someone else improved as well. I believe that was Lou Simeons to P3. Impressive lap time from him. As that was, I think, Jacko across the line to P8. So that's strong from him, but he's used quite a few sets of tyres in this session. And that is going to be that. Is Reshka on a lap? No, he's not on a competitive lap, so he will be heading back into the pits. And that will be Q1 complete. So while we're all waiting for Q2, I will quickly run you through the standings as I haven't done that yet. Awesome crunch lap from Mahmoud. Yeah, absolutely, Speed. Very, very good pressure lap that was. He was on the softs compared to the mediums that he did his first run with, but even so, especially after that mistake in the middle sector, or the at the start of the final sector, it was looking a bit dicey for him, but he pulled through and got the exits he needed out the last few corners and got himself into Q2, so congratulations to him. So, quick run through of the standings, like I said. So, in the drivers, it is Stephen Vasso who leads, but he is not here today. And Clemo, who's level on points with him, has a fantastic opportunity to take the championship lead, although Finley is only 6 points behind him in the McLaren, and we've seen just how fast he is today. So Clemo might have his work cut out if he does want to take that championship lead. Johnny Stokes then on 32 points, just 11 points behind Clemo. Then it's Chalder on 27, Lancer on 21, Speed on 18, and that is your top 10 minus those who aren't here today. Mar10, by the way, the champion, he turned up for race 1, but he has not turned up for the following 3 races, which is a real shame. I was looking forward to seeing him try and defend his title, but yeah, he's going to have to come back extremely strongly to make up the gap that he's going to have. That is Scott in the chat. What's he saying? Ran out of time because my teammate came on the pits just before me. Yeah, I did catch that, Scott. I did catch that. That was very unfortunate. Martin's taking time off from the game. Okay, that's good to know. So I suppose he is not going to be defending his title this season. So, well, who else? Do we have any other ESRL champions on the grid this season? ESRL Div 1 champions, I should say. I don't think so, other than Johnny Stokes. That's the only one, really. So, yeah, unless Johnny Stokes can pull it out the bag, we will have a new champion in ESRL this season, potentially. So that is an exciting prospect. As we begin Q2, I'll quickly run you through the constructors as well. The McLarens of Finley and Lancer are leading the way, somewhat unsurprisingly. That is an absolutely outrageous team lineup of Finley and Lancer. Then it's Ferrari and Mercedes, both on 53 points each. And then Sauber on 43 with VCarb on 40 points as the top 5. And yes, Scott Clemo is indeed looking extremely strong this season. 2025, he has upped his pace tremendously. Even the back end of 24, when he won the Enduro Championship, the inaugural Enduro Championship, for himself in ESRL at the back end of last year. And he proved himself to be the class of the field in that season. And he's proving himself to be a tough nut to crack this season as well in Division 1, the main ESRL championship, I suppose. Yeah, he's definitely one to watch, I think, Clemo. And it wasn't just a one-track wonder, because he looked extremely strong in Silverstone. He ran Stephen Vasso all the way to the checkered flag, which is incredibly impressive by itself. But we suspected maybe it was a one-track thing. He really, really liked Silverstone. And while that is true, it certainly wasn't a one-track thing in terms of his overall pace, because he has proved subsequently that he has that pace on, well, pretty much all the tracks we've had so far this season. So definitely one to watch. And yeah, Speed, I agree. He's definitely one of the most improved drivers out there, as Jacko goes well into the grass there. Barvish is going to be the first to set a time by the looks of things. I don't have my telemetry or anything on. Loses the rear spectacularly, though, through turn 6. And that is going to lose him quite a few tenths, I would have thought. Lou Simeon's on a lap as well, but there goes Barvish's lap. Loses it out of the second of the double left-handers. And a very easy mistake to make. Super, super easy to do. You just get a little bit wide, get on the curb, and that is game over. So Barvish will have to try again. So it's going to be Jay Cole who's actually going to be first across the line in his Haas. Very impressive qualifying last week, but the race didn't quite go to plan for him. So we'll see what he can do here in China. He was pretty impressive in Q1, but obviously that doesn't mean too much. As long as you get yourself into the top 10 in this second part of qualifying, you will be fine. And J. Cole to the line. That's a 33.1 to start off with. Chalder immediately beats that by a long way. Yeah, that's quite a slow time from J. Cole. He's going to have to find quite a bit of time, as Finley does an identical lap time to the cockpit cam champion. 31.379 for the both of them, but Finley obviously ahead in the 10,000ths of seconds. And that is why he sits at the top of the standings. Johnny Stokes goes to P3. We've got Lancer coming through as well, and Pat and Reshka. Here comes the Williams driver down to the last couple of corners. And you never know. You never know who's going to be at risk, of course, in a in the second part of qualifying. Someone could have an absolute nightmare. Reshka goes to P6. That's definitely not safe right now. Mahmoud did his lap on the mediums, and that was a 1 minute 32.8. I don't think that will be safe for Q3 by any means. Jejo Lancer now goes to the top by quite a margin, half a second. Wow, makes it a McLaren 1-2 at the moment. Trugster coming into the middle sector, as well as Patty Pat must have invalidated because he's having to go again. So it looks like Trugster's the one we're watching. Speed is on an outlap just ahead of him. But, we'll see what Trugster can do. I think the drivers in trouble here are going to likely be the likes of Mahmoud, Jacko, possibly Reshka, Patty Pat, and then it gets really difficult. So this is a tough session here. There could be some surprises going out in this session and not able to make it into Q3. Or some names that you'd usually expect to be in the top 10, just because this grid is looking mighty strong at the moment. Trugster through the last couple of corners. He could be one in trouble, but he did an impressive lap in Q1. So let's see if he can build on it here. Through the final corner he goes. And it's looking fairly good as he comes across the line, a 31.4. I don't know if that's safe. I don't know. It's tough to say. It looks fairly safe. Only a 10th off Chaldo and Finley. It's likely to be safe, but who knows at this point in time. A lot of drivers on outlaps. I think Speed is going to be the first to start a lap, though, out of these guys. So here goes Speed then through the first sector. 23.7 on his first effort here. Barvish just behind him on a lap as well. But we'll stay on board with the South African as he goes through the middle sector, looking to win his second race tonight after taking a victory in Hungary just an hour ago. As previously mentioned, Lancer thinks he's safe. I agree with him. 30.8. But Speed comes through now. 50.9 in the middle sector is pretty rapid at this stage. He's got a Mercedes just in front of him. That is Zoxyrus, as Clemo starts his first run as well. Zoxyrus gets out of the way of the speeding Red Bull as he heads towards the last couple of corners, all the way down this long, long straight where we're going to see plenty of action in the race in about 20 minutes time. 15 minutes time, 20 minutes, yeah, about 20 minutes time. Speed, though, through the final corner he goes. What's it going to be? Is it going to be in the 31s? Should be safe if so. In fact, it's a 30.876. He beats out Lancer by less than 1,000th of a second again. Astonishing stuff in this quali session. Barvish round the final corner. What can he do in the Alpine? Can he get anywhere near that? The answer is no. He goes to P7. I don't think that is safe at all at this stage. Jack Alacco, the Scottish driver, through the final corner. What can he do as he comes across the line? Beats Barvish by 100th of a second. I don't think that's particularly safe either, but it's a good start for Jack Alacco as he tries to see himself into Q3. He's well ahead of his teammate at this stage, so he's doing a very good job at the moment. I think Trugster and everyone ahead of him is safe now, but Johnny Stokes and everyone below probably isn't. Johnny is probably safe, but you can never tell at this stage. Clemo goes to P6. Okay, Johnny's not looking so safe anymore. Clemo quite a way off the front runners at this stage, though. Johnny's starting his next run as we speak about him. Zoxyrus is going to be the next across the line. The German driver who keep an eye on him for overtakes if you're not familiar with ESRL. He is quite the overtake maker on track. He built himself a reputation for that in his debut season last season around. Comes across the line. A 31.4 should see him safely through to Q3. It pushes Johnny Stokes down to P8 and Jackalacco and Barvish to 9th and 10th. So they are looking a lot less safe, especially with this man finishing his lap. J. Cole, he was much further up in Q1. Let's see if he can deliver on that in Q2. It looks like he can. A 31.4 goes to P6. That knocks Barvish out the top 10. And it puts Jacko on the brink as he heads into the pit lane. Mahmood is someone who could improve as well. He did his first lap on mediums, lest we forget. And comes to the final corner. He's using all his ERS. I think he may regret that, though, because he's going to run out on the run to the line very deep at the final corner. Loses the rears, and he does improve to P10. He knocks Jacko out. Finley goes to first place by some margin, so he will absolutely be safely through. I don't know why he went again, to be honest. Patty does not have any confidence in his own abilities. He's staying in the garage right now. But you'll notice that everyone outside the top 10 right now is in the pit lane. So they're likely all going to be coming out for their final runs fairly shortly. And Clemo suddenly, the man who's, well, technically leading the championship right now, de facto, since Vaso isn't here, is looking at genuine risk of exiting in Q2. He's in the pits at the moment. He's just come in. He'll have plenty of time to come back out on track and get another lap in. But yeah, he's in a little bit of trouble at the moment. But I do think he should be relatively safe. And it's really going to be about these bottom 6 and who's going to be the one driver to get into Q3. Right now it's Mahmood, and he'd be very happy, I'm sure, if he can pull this out the bag and get himself into the last part of qualifying. But there's still many more laps to come, including this man, Lou Simeons. He was right at the top in Q1. So if anyone's going to get themselves out of this bottom 5 by some margin, it's going to be this man. We've also got Reshka on track. Jackalacco can put in a good lap as well. Barvish. It's very much not guaranteed who's going down here. Even Clemo could be heading out in Q2 if things don't go his way. And then a couple of people below him improve. Lou Simeons now starting well, not necessarily his final run, but if he messes it up late on in the lap, then he's not going to have a lot of ERS to go for his last run. He's coming through the first sector now, though. We'll see if he can improve at the sector line, which is coming up just about now. What's it going to be? Out of turn 5, he is 2/10 up. And Lou Simeons looking to stamp his authority on this session. He's down in 13th at the moment. He's got to get himself in the top 10. Johnny Stokes thinks he's safe. I do think everyone from Trugster upwards is probably safe, but who knows? Lou Simeons could improve, and plenty others could as well. Reshka, Jacko, I think have potential to get themselves up there. Clemo, of course. So maybe Trugster not so safe after all. J. Cole stayed in the pits, so he thinks he's safe. I'm not so sure. It's really fine margins as Lou Simeons loses the car there at the first part of the final sector, and he's going to have only one more attempt here to get himself out of the bottom 5, and this really would be a shock given his pace in Q1. He needs to find something here, a huge pressure lap for the Ferrari driver. What can Reshka do? He's on a lap as well. Trugster just ahead of him, also going down towards the last couple of corners. What can the V-Carb driver do? Just a minute to go in qualifying. This is going to be his last run. He hasn't got enough ERS to go again. So this is it for Trugster. What can he do? He comes through the final corner. He's used every last drop of his ERS as he heads to the line. It's a 31.2. He is safely through to Q3. And Clemo is suddenly in danger, I think. Trugster's definitely made himself safe there, but Clemo's got got to be a little bit worried in that cockpit. Jakalako starting a lap. Patty Pat starting one as well. Reshka coming through the last couple of corners. What can the British driver do? He's 8 tenths up. This could be enough to knock Mahmood into the bottom 5. What can Reshka do here? He uses everything he's got out the final corner, and it is enough to get him to 10th place. Mahmood is out in Q2, but who else will join him? Jakalako's improving, but he needs a lot more than that. Barvish coming through. He was pretty quick in Q1 as well. Lou Simeon's 4 tenths up. We know he's got the pace, but can he find it in this final sector? He still needs another 4 tenths in the last sector to get himself into Q2. It would be a shock if he went down, but it could well happen. Patty Pat coming through as well. It's going to be his first run of this session, so he's got to make it count. 51.9 through sector 2. That's a second slower than speed, so on this pace he is not going to be through. Reshka is done. Clemo is on a lap. What's he doing? He's improving by 2.5 tenths. He should be fine, but he does feel the pressure. Lou Simeons does not do enough. He only gets to P11. He is out in Q2. What can Jakalako do? He's 3.5 tenths up in the middle sector. Can the Scottish driver spring a surprise here and knock his teammate out? He comes through the final corner. He's got to give it everything through here. Absolutely sends it. Somehow doesn't invalidate to the line. It's not quite enough. He loses out by 0.5 tenth of a second. Can Barvish shock them all? No, he stays 12th as well, but so close from him too. Wow, what an incredibly tight Q2 for the top 10, but Reshka is the one in that bottom 6 who just about survives from his teammate by 0.5 tenth of a second, and that was mighty close. Woof. Inches away, says Jacko in the chat. It certainly was so close. But it's Reshka who survives in the end in that top 10. Finley, of course, top of the pile. And then Speed and Lancer, practically identical times. Chalda in P4. And it's Trugster, Johnny Stokes, Zoxius, J. Cole, just about Clemo and Reshka staying in the top 10 for Q3, but Jacko gave it absolutely everything out that final corner. He really did. Start 11th and 12th respectively, but the biggest shock, I think, Lou Simeons, who was right up in 3rd or 4th in Q1, out in Q2. Finley going to do a 29, says Speed. Well, we have begun at Q3 now. We'll have 12 minutes remaining of qualifying. Who is going to take pole? Well, I'm pretty sure we all have an inkling of who's going to take pole. But the rest of the positions definitely well up for grabs. It's very close throughout the grid. See if, in particular, Clemo, I think, has a lot of pressure in this session, because he was surprisingly far down in Q2. So the German has a point to prove here in the third part of qualifying. But look at the names in this top 10. Johnny Stokes, Season 6 champion. Chalda, reigning cockpit cam champion. Finley, I mean, he's not actually a champion in either APP or ESRL yet, somehow, surprisingly. I think he'll do the double in APP this season. But at the moment, he is not a champion, but we know just how strong a driver he is. Clemo, Enduro champion, Speed Alcoholic, Lancer, Zoxiris, and Reshka. I mean, some incredible, long-lasting names in this grid. And honestly, these days, Trugster is right up there. You almost expect him to be in Q3 at this point in his sim racing career. Usually a name that you'd expect to find sort of midfield towards the back of ESRL for a long time. But in the last year or so, he has really risen to right near the very top, especially in terms of qualifying pace. Race pace, not always there for Trugster, I think it's fair to say. But quali pace, he has certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons many times over the last year. So we'll see what he can do in this qualifying session. And then, of course, the more unknown name of J. Cole, who proved himself to be quite the competitor in terms of qualifying last week. Can he do it again today? He's starting his first run in this final part of qualifying now. But Chalder is well ahead. He'll be the first one to try and set a time. He's coming through Sector 2 now. What's it going to be? In the 50s is what you want, and he gets there just. A 50.997 for Chalder as he comes through the last sector now. Let's see what he's able to do. Uses so much ERS on this back straight. He's got DRS open as well. Heads all the way down, using as much ERS as he dares, but he wants to save some for the last couple of corners. And their exits through the hairpin. He goes, very nicely done from the Italian. One corner to go. Is he going to send it quite as much as Jacko did? Yes, he absolutely is. Right through he goes. It's a 30.5 from Chalder. That is quite the lap time to start off with for a banker lap in Q3. That is very, very impressive. Who's going to be next? It's going to be J. Cole. What can he do in his Haas? A 51.3. He was 0.4 down in the middle sector compared to the Ferrari. He comes across the line. It's a 31.2. But what can Lancer do on an outlap? Who's that spinning off? It was Reshka at the final corner. He gave it absolutely everything, but just a little bit too much by the looks of it. Finley has left the session. Hopefully he can get himself back in. There's Johnny Stokes just behind across the line. He goes to P2, but he's nowhere near that time from Chalder. It's going to be Trugster next up across the line. Clamo's just starting a lap, so here comes the V-Carb driver. What can Trugster do? Oh, he can do that. A loss of the rear through the final corner, but he still goes to P2. And Trugster proving himself to really be a threat for the front two rows of this grid today, I think. He may be half a second off Chalder, but you know, that is a mighty, mighty lap from Chalder, so that's nothing to be upset about. But Lancer is going 0.2 faster than Chalder through the middle sector. What can he do through the final sector? Is he going to use quite as much ERS as Chalder did? Yeah, he is, by the looks of it. He's abusing that overtake button as he heads towards the penultimate corner. Is he going to save as much? Yeah, he certainly is. They both know what to do with their ERS in qualifying on this circuit. Lancer to the line. Speed Alcoholic only 0.08 off of pole position. He goes to second place, but Lancer looks like he's about to blow both of them out the water. He comes around the final corner, a little bit squirrely on the exit, but it doesn't matter. A 30.3 for J. Joe Lancer, and in Finley's absence, he is flying the flag for the team. Zoxiris is into the pits. No improvement, or no lap even, for the German. And what about his countryman in the other Mercedes, Clamo, through the last couple of corners, very wide there at the hairpin. That'll have lost him some time as he comes through the final corner. Now it's invalidated. Invalidates at the final corner. It was only a 31.9 anyway. He would have been all the way down in 7th. Clemo looks like he's having a little bit of struggles here in China. Just doesn't seem to be a track to suit him so far. But wow, Lancer, that is going to be some time to beat, even for the likes of Finley, who's going to try and get his way back into the session. I wonder if I can invite him back even. Let's see, there he is. Send him an invite just in case. Well, that is your first runs done. Only 7 laps on the board, and realistically it's only 6 laps on the board. But all of them within a second. It's looking very, very close here for first place, for pole position in this qualifying, and for every other position as well. This is going to be a fantastic last 5 minutes. There's only 1 lap left to do for all the drivers here, I would have thought. So pressure laps for Clemo and Zoxyrus. If Finley can get back in, it's a big pressure lap for him as well. And Reshka as well, who hasn't really got a time on the board right now. It's enough to leapfrog the drivers who haven't done a time at all, but yeah, not enough for any more than that. And well, he only just scraped through into Q3, so he is going to be a driver that's essentially just going to be looking not to be in last, in 10th place here, or well, 9th place if Finley doesn't come back. Zoxyrus on an out lap right now in the Mercedes. He's the only car on track at the moment with 4 minutes to go in this session. He wants to get it over with early, and also wants to give himself time to go again if he manages to screw up another lap time. Everyone else in the pits, he is all alone, Zoxyrus. Lancer is good at China speed, he certainly is. He's looking like he's going to try and take his first pole position of the season in ESRL. So we'll ride on board with Zoxyrus as he heads through the final corner to start his next run. 3 minutes to go, so he will only probably get 1 more go. Finley is AI because he disconnected speed, so he is not going to be going for pole by the looks of things. Zoxyrus through turns 1 and 2, that looked very smooth indeed from the German. Through turn 3, a little bit loss of the rear there on the exit though. He won't be particularly happy with that. He comes through turn 4 and down towards the next corner, down the brakes very nicely on the apex, gets the power down on the exit. Nicely done from Zoxyrus. He's currently rock bottom of the standings in 10th place right now. But he's still got 1 more attempt if this doesn't go well. But it will be on worn tyres, and obviously if he mucks it up in the last couple of corners, he won't have the ERS really to go again. So a lot of pressure on this lap for Zoxyrus. A lot of drivers on outlaps as well. Interestingly, not Clemo. Clemo's stayed in the pits for now. There's only 2 minutes left in the session. He's got to hurry up, and there we go. We see on the mini-map there that light blue Patronus coloured dot getting out the pit lane. So he will get 1 final attempt, will Clemo. To try and get himself off of the bottom of the standings, which is where he's going to be as long as Zoxyrus manages to complete this lap with no issues. Nicely on the apex at the hairpin and down towards the final corner. Finley joins, but it's too late. He is not going to be in the battle for pole. He will be at the bottom of the standings. Zoxyrus across the line. It's very nicely done from Zoxy. Great pressure lap, and he goes to P4. Reshka starting his final run. Finley leaves again. His connection is acting up. Not for the first time for anyone who knows him well. Reshka, though, through the first couple of corners, looking to get himself, well, I mean, realistically, it's going to be 9th place for him if he doesn't improve this by quite some margin. Clemo right now on an out lap as well. So we'll see what he can do. Reshka 2 tenths up in the first sector already. It's nicely done from the British driver as he comes through the middle sector now. Is he flat through this left-hander? He certainly is, but he won't be flat through the next corner. He will lift off a little bit. There we go as he comes through. Now for the double left-hander. Very tricky couple of corners wide of the apex of the first one. He won't be happy with that at all. Gets nicely for the second one. Doesn't lose the rear, but he'll be disappointed with going wide. He's 7.5 tenths up already, though, as he comes now through the last through the last sector. Remember, last time he binned it at the final corner, so that is where all the pressure is going to be in his head. When you've crashed at a particular corner earlier in a session, it really gets in your head. It's difficult to shake mentally, but Reshka here comes through at the last hairpin now, and to the final corner. He's wide at the apex at the hairpin. Down to the final corner he goes. 70% ERS to go. He hasn't used a lot of it. He's going to have to drain everything out this final corner, but he hasn't used as much as he could have done. Through he goes, and it's P8. It's not quite enough to beat J. Cole, but he gave it a bloody good go in that Williams. So next up, it is going to be J. Cole in the Haas. He's 1.5 tenths up now in that middle sector. What can he do at the end here? Nicely, well, not too nicely over the apex, but just about manages to hit it at the hairpin through the final corner. A little bit not leaving enough on the road there, but he goes to P5, beats out both V-carbs. Trugster's next. He's not improving at the moment. He's down in 6th place. It looks like that's where he's going to stay or lower. Next up is going to be Speed Alcoholic, though. Chalder is done. He was not able to improve. So he stays 2nd place. Well, naturally, no, he did improve, but he didn't quite manage to beat Lancer, I think. Speed through the final corner. What can he do? It's not quite enough. He doesn't even improve in the end. And Reshka, Reshka's done. It's all on Clamo. Trugster's in the pits. Lancer improves by even more. He looks like he's going to take pole position unless Clamo can spring a monumental surprise. The championship leader heads through the final corner. What's it going to be? It's not enough for pole. It's only 8th place for the championship leader. And China looking like it's a little bit of a difficult track for the German in the Mercedes. And that is going to be your top 10 on the grid for this Grand Prix. Finley down in 10th. He was not able to reconnect, and it looks like he might not be able to reconnect at all, unfortunately. I'll chuck him another invite just in case, but yeah, I think he might be done, looks like, by virtue of his connection, which means it is a fantastic chance for Clamo to take the championship lead outright, but it's going to be tricky for him, starting down in 8th place. Speed says the pace was there, he just messed up the last lap. Yeah, I know how that feels, Speed. I did that about an hour and a half ago, so don't worry. I know how you feel. So it is Lancer on pole position for the first time this season in ESRL. Chalder takes home 2nd place. He will be on the front row. And then it will be Speed Alcoholic and Johnny Stokes all the way up in 4th place, just 0.03 of a second ahead of Zoxius and J. Cole joining the German on the 3rd row. Trugster and Clamo on row 4 with Reshka in P9 and Finley's AI, by the looks of things, in 10th place. I don't think he's going to be able to get back in, so this race is wide open without Finley. Finley will be gutted, of course, but everyone else will be very pleased. Probably including the neutrals. Finley says his internet's just randomly turned off, so he probably won't be able to get back in. That's a real shame for the McLaren driver. So here we go for the formation lap. Lancer starting from pole position all the way down to Zuber in 18th. Sort out my cables, there we go. Right, let's get everything on the screen. Let's look at tyres, shall we? It is a pretty even split up and down the field, I have to say. Lancer starting on the hards from pole, but Tjalda on the mediums alongside him, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic between the two of them. Speed also starting on the hards, as well as Trugster, Reshka, Finley and the bottom four. Everyone else on the mediums. I do think hard medium is slightly preferable around here. Well, as I say that, the AWS race strategy comes up saying exactly that, but you can make the medium hard work if you're very strong in pace in the first stint, and that's exactly what Tjalda's going to hope for. He will hope to leapfrog Lancer as soon as possible and then try and build a gap to the Ferrari driver, or to the McLaren driver rather, as they head down the back straight. Why is... Oh, because it's Finley's AI, right. That's why the formation lap is split into two. They've all realised they can just go straight past Finley now, I think. So, to the grid we go, for what is sure to be a thrilling Chinese Grand Prix. I can't wait for this. Look at the names in the top five. J. Cole as well. He has been up there in qualifying the last two rounds. Can he deliver on race pace this week? That which he couldn't last week. So here we go. We're about to get started. I'm very much looking forward to this. Right on board with Johnny Stokes as we begin this race. Here we go. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway for the Chinese Grand Prix in ESRL. It's a great start from Tjalda from P2. He goes straight to the inside of Lancer, heading towards turn 1. He takes the lead briefly, but they go side by side. Someone's round. That's Johnny Stokes in the background as Tjalda down the inside of turn 2 and taking the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix straight away. Exactly what he needed to do. Loses the rear, though, out of turn 3. And could that be an opportunity for Lancer down on the run to turn 5? No, it couldn't be. And Zoxyrus and Clemo doing battle as well. The two Mercedes wheel to wheel through the same corner, but Zoxyrus getting through to P4 and Lou Simeons also up to P9. Let's put position change. What a start for Lou Simeons, up 4 positions. Disaster for J. Cole, down 8 positions at the start. Just as we were talking about whether he can deliver on race pace today, he is now all the way down to 14th. That's a real shame for him, but it is still nose to tail for pretty much the entire grid as they head towards the end of Sector 2. Johnny Stokes down 2, Clemo up 3. What a start for the championship leader. Lou Simeons up another position to P8 as Trugster is round, unfortunately, in the V-carb. And once again, that race pace and consistency really, unfortunately, lacking for the driver who's been so good in qualifying recently. Tjalda, of course, though, leads this race after that beautiful overtake in the first couple of corners on Lancer. And on to lap 2 they go. Still everyone within DRS range. It's a huge train for P1 as a few cars going very wide at the last corner in the background, but just about getting away with it. Johnny Stokes is going to need to try and make some progress, but Lou Simeons, what a start for him. Patty Pat up 4 as well in his Red Bull, but Clemo, the championship leader, really making moves to start off this race, and he could have been 4th as well. He got overtaken by his teammate on that lap 1 early on, as Reshka already starting to lose touch with the top 6. 1.3 seconds is the gap. It comes back down through turn 5, but he's going to really struggle to stay with them here, and I think this race is going to split into 2 distinct groups fairly shortly. Though Lucimians could use the DRS to get by and get himself with those top 6 as well, with the pace he's shown already so far. Let's get tyres back on screen. It is Chalder who leads, but he's not been able to gap Lancer out of DRS. He's gained quite a bit of time. It's 8 tenths, but it's nothing in terms of the DRS. As long as he's within a second, it does not mean anything, as Lancer is now going to catch up. Look at the closing speed down towards the hairpin. He is all the way back behind the Ferrari, and Chalder not able to extend the gap. There's contact between the Mercedes. Contact into the hairpin. The two Mercedes come together, and Zoxyrus and Clemo have lost position to Johnny Stokes, both of them. Is there damage on the championship leader's car, I wonder? It looked like he went into the back of his teammate, perhaps, but his front wing looks fine at the moment. There could be superficial damage, but in terms of visual damage, there is nothing on his car. Johnny Stokes now, as a result of all of that commotion, is now out of DRS of the top 3. Reshka and Lucimians doing battle. Lucimians trying to get his way through. He knows it's really important to get past the hard tyre Williams, but Reshka, infamous for his very low wing setups, is being overtaken by the Ferrari. Lucimians charges his way through. Jackalacco now on the outside of his teammate, heading towards the next corner, but the Scottish driver will have to back out. Barvish looking for a way through as well. J. Cole 2 seconds down on them, but this will certainly bring him a little bit closer. Barvish nearly into the back of Jacko there at the double left-hander. That was very, very close to disaster. But we'll cut back to the top 3 briefly. They are still nose to tail, but Zoxyrus has gotten past Johnny Stokes, but at what cost? 2.6 seconds already to the top 3, and this race is absolutely split into distinct groups now. That top 3 well ahead of the rest, and then it's the next 3 cars, and then of course Lucimians downwards as Lancer retakes the lead, and Speed Alcoholic tries to get Chalder 2 in the DRS zone and does. There's nothing the Italian can do about it. He tries to get the better exit, but he can't quite do it, and he is going to be down to 3rd place on his medium tyres. He'll be disappointed with how the start of this race has gone after a brilliant start that he got. But the first few laps have not gone to plan. Jackalacco, meanwhile, getting past his teammate as Zoxyrus gets past Johnny for 4th place into turn 1. And we do have 3 cars at the top 3, then another 3 cars, and then another 4 or 5 cars as Barvish and Reshka doing battle again. Barvish round the outside, perhaps, of the Williams, but he can't make it work. He's still stuck behind this car as he sends it to the inside of turn 5, but Reshka is very wise to that. He saw that coming a mile off and very nicely covered it off on the brakes. Good defense from Reshka. Barvish will have to live to fight another day. J. Cole is now approaching the back of this train and is now in this train once again, so he is well and truly back in this race. Points to the top 10. It's the normal F1 point system here in ESRL, and the top, or well, not the top 3, Zoxyrus, Johnny and Clemo. The battle for P4 rages on. Lucimian's 1.7 behind. It's not that far, but the DRS is going to make it very difficult for him to catch that gap. Remember, it is going to rain later on at some point in this race. Is it already raining? Speed takes the lead. It is raining. It's raining in China already, and those who started on the hards might be regretting it. Jackalacco down the inside of Lucimians into the hairpin. Great move from the Williams driver. I think that was rain that I saw. I can't see it now, but no, it's definitely raining. Lancer retakes the lead. Zoxyrus on the inside of Johnny, but this race has now taken a very interesting turn. The rain is coming down. Lucimians is on the inside of Jacko into turns 1 and 2. They're still side by side on the exit down towards turn 3. Jacko on the inside again as they continue battle all the way through the corner. It's Jackalacco who gets ahead just about. Is Lucimians going to send it on the inside of the next corner like he did to Reshka? Not this time, and he has to stay behind. And the rain now coming down. Like I said, the intermediate tyres are going to come out soon. The question is when. Zuber in already. That is definitely too early for the Sauber driver, unfortunately, but why not? I think he said that his only goal today was just to lounge around at the back and chat to Scott anyway in the party chat, so fair enough. That's what he's doing. It's lovely to see him on track, even if he's not really racing anyone. Scott, meanwhile, is in 15th place. He is just behind Patty Pat in the Red Bull. Who got his first points of the season in ESRL last week. As Barvish now looking to get past Reshka, but look at the straight line speed on that Williams. It's absolutely absurd. Clemo and Johnny Stokes make contact again for the championship leader as they go through the hairpin, and this is just allowing Jacko and the train behind him to catch slowly back up. It's 1.3 now to the back of Clemo. Johnny Stokes doesn't have the DRS to Zoxy either as they head towards turn 1. But I think they've gotten away with it. But again, contact for the championship leader. Unfortunate for Finley, he's not able to get back in the session. Sorry about that, Finley. That's a real shame. Because you were looking on fire in those first 2 quali sessions. But it is Clemo who is still just behind Johnny, but a big lock-up for Johnny Stokes just ahead of him, and that is going to potentially lose DRS to Zoxyrus. But I think the grip is starting to fall away now with this rain coming down. When do they come in for the inters? That's the question. Johnny Stokes just desperately trying to hang on to that DRS range, but a big mistake through the first of the double left-handers, I think, is going to put paid to that. 1.1 seconds is surely too much unless he nails this next corner. No, he brakes far too late and goes way too deep and doesn't get the DRS, I don't think. Jackalacco loses the rear, though, in the same corner just behind and loses 3 positions. That's absolutely brutal for the Scotsman. But down towards the hairpin they go. The top 3 still nose to tail. No changes there. But Clemo is going to get himself into the top 5 ahead of Johnny Stokes fairly easily. And Reshka is going to retake the lead of this train just behind. Or is he? Barvish to the inside in these tricky conditions. That is a very, very brave move from the Alpine. It doesn't quite pay off. Reshka stays ahead. And he is using those hard tyres to full effect. Barvish very wide just behind. Lou Simeon's into the pits already for the inters. That is an early stop, I think. I don't think it's quite time yet, but it's getting near to that time. In the next couple of laps, I would have thought, we will start seeing everyone coming in. But it's Lancer who still leads from Speed Alcoholic, from Tjalda, who, starting on the mediums isn't going to matter too much after all, thanks to the rain. He'll be happy that it's come so soon. Who's that? Who's gone round? It looks like it's Scott at turn 3. He's all the way down to 15th now as Reshka and Barvish side by side again. Barvish looked like he sent it to the inside of turn 5. It didn't quite pay off, and he stays behind the hard tyre clad Williams. Jackalacco just behind as well. A little bit of a correction through that right-hander. Very tricky to get the power down now in these conditions. I think the inters are going to start coming out very soon. Zoxyrus, Clemo and Johnny still right with each other. Clemo's rejoined the DRS to his teammate. DRS is still enabled, so the game still believes it's dry enough to keep the DRS on. You'll see that rear wing flap open. There we go. Barvish getting ahead of Reshka just behind them. Any changes up here, though? Doesn't look like it. The top 3 remain in order as well. But what about Reshka and Barvish? Reshka to the inside, perhaps. But Jacko is actually the one who gets through on the outside of his teammate at the hairpin. And he's up to P8 in the meantime. A little bit of a correction on the exit. He's just about okay. And look who's got himself into the top 10 here. Mahmood in the Aston Martin doing a solid job at the moment on those medium tyres. He's only 1.6 behind the train as well. That is catchable if they really start battling, which is looking like the case in terms of what's happening. Jacko down the inside of Barvish for turn 2. It's going to be the outside for turn 3. Surely he doesn't hold it there in these conditions. I don't think he's going to be able to. No, he has to back out. Barvish stays ahead. but they're going to be losing more time, and Mahmoud will be happy to see this battling. Jacko again to the outside, looking to go wheel to wheel, tries to get the switch back, but that's so tough to get the power down when it's raining like this in these sort of slick slash wet conditions. But it is Barvish who stays ahead. Mahmoud now 1.8 behind. It is right on the edge for the Aston Martin driver. Is he not using ERS at all right now, or is that red light because of the rain? No, he's not using ERS. So, excuse me, a struggle for Mahmoud to try and get into that train, but he's put himself in a decent position. Eisenborg's made a mistake and let Scott back past. Now up to 13th goes the Alpine driver. Here comes Jacko, though, on the inside of Barvish. He's going to have the DRS as well, and this will be a very simple move for Jacko. Can Reschke get his way through as well? No, he's too far back. Who's that that's gone round? It's Chalder! Chalder in the Ferrari has gone round. He's got damage as well to his front right end plate. And oh, he goes round again, trying to get the power down. It's disaster for the Italian. Who's in the background? It's Mahmoud, who's made exactly the same mistake. And it's all gone pear-shaped for these two drivers now. Mahmoud resetting to track. Oh, don't do that on camera, Mahmoud. That is going to get you DQ'd, I think. Barvish into the pits, though, for the Inters. He's decided enough is enough. Chalder, unsurprisingly, deciding the same. But everyone else staying out. I do think it's still just about slicks from what I can see, but that makes it now a battle between the top two. Chalder out of the race for the win now, unless there's a safety car at some point. He's actually completely out the race. He's retired from the session. I don't think that was quite necessary, but he has clearly had enough. I think probably because his team put him on the slicks instead of the Inters. I think that is why he's retired. But Lou Simeon's getting past Eisenborg for P11 further back on those intermediate tyres, so perhaps the time has indeed come. DRS is still enabled, so the game still thinks it's just about dry enough, but Speed really struggling on corner exits compared to Lancer. Lancer so much faster than the Red Bull driver, but the DRS is keeping him in range, but it might not last for long. They come down towards the hairpin. Speed regains another 3/10, but is it going to be enough? Through the hairpin, he is deep. He's going to lose more time on the exit again. Lancer's got so much more grip, it seems, in the South African, and they're both into the pits, unsurprisingly. Speed cutting that pit entry very nicely as they head in for the intermediate tyres. Can Speed get it stopped? Yes, he can, just about. Lancer took that very, very safe indeed, and the Mercedes have to avoid a double stack. Johnny Stokes didn't, though. He stays out of his own accord. Zoxy was staying out for the double stack, though, as Clemo into the pits for Inters as well. Lancer and Speed both heading out, and Speed is right up the McLaren's gearbox on the pit exit here. Are they going to do battle into turn one? They've got Truckster and J. Cole just ahead of them, who are going to back them up here, perhaps. We're right on board with Lancer, because look how slow they're going compared to him on the Inters. Lancer tries to get the grip on the outside. He tries for the switchback. What a lovely move from Lancer. Gets both of them in one go. Brilliant stuff from the McLaren driver. Speed looking to follow him through around the outside of both of them into through turn four, but he's way too deep there. He got two tyres on the grass and completely lost braking performance. Trugster's losing the rear in the background there, but Speed just about staying within 8/10. But of course, when the DRS gets disabled, that's not going to matter too much anyway. Barvish and Eisenborg do battle as well. I think DRS is still on, by the way, as Zoxuas and John the final sector now to start off with. Zoxuas is the leader of this Chinese Grand Prix, but probably not for long. Johnny Stokes, does he have DRS? Oh, he certainly doesn't now. He hits, I think he hit the invisible bump there on the circuit. There is a very sneaky invisible death bump on the exit of that corner. I was wondering if anyone would be unlucky enough to hit it. It looks like Johnny has been, and he's all the way down now. just in front of Lancer as Reshka gets overtaken by the McLaren driver. DRS still enabled somehow in these conditions, as now Johnny's going to have to come in. Zoxerus comes in as well, but look how much time they have lost. Lancer's coming through the final corner now. They've definitely come in one lap too late. Zoxerus had no choice, but Johnny Stokes, big strategic mistake from the VCARB driver, the Season 6 champion. That's going to see J. Cole into the top 3 now, but he and Trugster still staying out on those slick tyres. So it's likely going to mean that Clemo is going to inherit 3rd place. And this is the kind of thing that we see from champions. I don't want to jinx him. But, you know, he qualified down in 8th. And you think, well, he's probably not going to be on the podium today, but you know, maybe you can salvage a top 5 finish or so. Here he is, about to be in P3, 1.3 seconds ahead of his nearest competitor, Lou Simmons. He goes down the inside of J. Cole, who lets him through with no issues whatsoever. And Trugster's going to be his next target. He needs to get through cleanly. He looks to the inside, but no, he's going to have to wait for another corner. He finally gets his way through, but goodness me, he really took that risk, and that's going to allow Lou Simmons to catch back up. So Clemo's going to be in a little bit of danger from the Ferrari behind, but he's still over a second ahead for now. And, well, the championship leader on the podium, and like I was saying, this is just what you come to expect from champion drives or champion drivers. It's this kind of thing. He's already a champion in ESRL. He's the Enduro champion Season 1 at the back end of last year, as Zoxerus getting his way past the Haas as well in the background. This could be a fantastic result for Mercedes as it stands. But Clemo, despite the poor qualifying, despite that, he had an amazing start, and now he's profited off the downfall of a couple of others. He's gotten himself into the best position possible, and he is now on the podium on merit, without any pit stops or anything. He is right there, and he's looking like he's going to try and take 15 points away from this race, which would be an incredible performance if he can manage it. Lancer leads though at the moment, but that's a big slide through that medium speed left-hander, and that has brought speed a little closer, but I think Lancer does seem to have the edge on the Red Bull driver in these low grip conditions. He certainly had the edge on him before they pitted, and looks like he's kept that advantage going on to the intermediates. But can Speed get used to them and start reeling him in? That's the question. So we'll keep a close eye on that gap. As Zoxerus now approaching Lou Simmons to try and make it a 3-4 for Mercedes. He's down the inside in towards, I believe, turn 11, that is, as they head through. Zoxerus is ahead. He's up to 4th place. It's a Mercedes 3-4. They are looking for a fantastic result here, possibly to take the championship lead if they haven't already. I can't actually remember who is leading the constructors, but Mercedes certainly looking to be there if they're not already. Trugster, meanwhile, making an overtake on Patipat further down the grid. Eisenborg is still on the hards. J. Cole has pitted onto the hards. That's surely a mistake, unless this rain is stopping. Actually, is this rain stopping? I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it. No, the rain's still going, but is it going to stop, I wonder? Is that why they've pitted onto slicks? Is that why they waited so long? Because the rain, it's only going to be raining for a short time? I'm not sure. I don't have the weather on hand. But I think that's a mistake regardless, because of how long it takes the track to dry up on this game after some wet weather. But it's certainly a gamble that they've taken. Certainly J. Cole, yeah, he stayed out. It's a deliberate choice. So I think he has thrown away any chance of points. And once again, he's the last 2 races, he's been right up there in qualifying as J. Cole. But then the race, not according to plan whatsoever. But still plenty of time to go, as I say. Eisenborg getting passed by Scott and Trugster now. on those hard tyres that he has been on since the beginning. Same for Pat as well, actually. Obviously Finley, but he's an AI driver, so we won't pay too much attention to him. Zuba's into the pits. Is that for Slick Zuba? Is that for Slick Zuba? Yes, it is. DRS is back enabled. We're back. The rain is easing off after all, perhaps. Speed with a huge moment out the final corner. It's far too early for slicks. Don't get the wrong idea, everyone in the chat. This is definitely not slick tyre weather. It's still the inters as Johnny Stokes gets his way past Jack Alacco, and he's Jack Alacco looking to try and get back past him, but Johnny into the pits as well as Lou Simeons. I think that's far, far too early. They're going to really struggle on the slicks, I think. But it's a gamble they've gone for. Clemo's 3 seconds ahead of his teammate. So when do they come in? The rain is, I mean, it doesn't seem to be easing off from my point of view, to be honest. It certainly seems like it's still raining quite heavily at the moment, and well, I mean, anyone at this stage of the race, anyone could be in that top 10, as Lou Simeons proves my point immediately on pit exit, bins it into the wall, and just behind him J. Cole and Pat are doing battle. J. Cole down the inside of the Red Bull, a bit of wheel banging as they headed to turn 1, but J. Cole is up to 12th place. Johnny Stokes survived pit exit at least, but he's got Eisenborg just ahead on very old hard tyres. It still looks like Inters to me as Johnny Stokes, round the outside he goes. Maybe, who knows, maybe this is an incredible strategic play from Johnny Stokes, but I think it's the wrong choice. I really do. I think it's still very much intermediate weather out there. The rain is definitely easing off, but it's going to stay damp for a good long while. Lancer decides it's time, though. Speed as well, so perhaps I'm completely wrong. Of course, they're on track. They can feel the conditions better than I can. Lancer and Speed into the pits. Clemo also in from third place. Is Zoxerus going to double stack? He has to. He has to if he thinks it's slick weather now. And he's going to lose a bunch of time, but Jacko's a long way behind. It's going to be the drivers who've already pitted that they've got to worry about. Jacko in as well. Barvish, everyone's coming into the pits. So it is coming back to dry. And Johnny Stokes is coming to the last couple of corners. How much time has he lost on those hard tyres? That's the question. He came in one lap earlier than everyone else. He comes to the final corner now. I think this is going to be a big mistake for the VCARB driver. The Season 6 champion's going to come out well behind here. He'll be ahead of Scott, but in terms of the drivers he was battling with, the likes of Zoxerus and Clemo, he is far, far behind them. He's ahead of Barvish, though, and Jack Alacco is just ahead of him, but yeah, it's not ideal for Johnny Stokes, and Barvish hits him into turn 2 as well, just for good measure. And as they head through turn 3, Johnny Stokes is ahead, but Barvish with the switchback on those medium tyres, he comes around the outside, leaves Johnny just enough room on the run down to turn 5, loses the rear on entry and locks up, but Johnny can't do anything about it, and Barvish is up to P7 now. Trugster still on the inters, the only one to be on that green-walled, rainy tyre. And honestly, I don't think it's a terrible shout. He's surely going to come in this lap, but the track is certainly not back up to par at the moment. He is going to drop a long way down. But how far is the question? Lancer and Speed now leading by over 12 seconds from the championship leader Clemo in third place. They're both on the mediums. Lancer's gone 3 seconds ahead of Speed, so Speed is going to need Lancer to make some major mistakes for him to get back in this race, or a safety car. That would work too. Barvish down the inside of Jacko for P6 though, and he makes that move stick on those medium tyres, which should safely go to the end from here, I would have thought. Trugster finally in. How far will he drop down? That's the question. I think he'll drop all the way down to 13th, based on what I can see. Might even be 14th. I think he'll be ahead of Scott, but it won't be far off. He goes on to the mediums. I think that's the right choice. And heads out on track now. Where is Scott? He's coming around the... Well, I mean, he's coming around the final corner. He's He tried to go around the final corner, but didn't quite make it. He was a little bit off. Just a tiny bit wide there from Scott. But yeah, Trogster comes out 3.5 seconds ahead of him. And now his goal is going to be to get himself into the top 10. And that all he needs to do is overtake Patty Pat, because Finley is an AI, so he will definitely not score points. So it's all about whether Trogster can get past the Red Bull. And since Patty Pat is yet to stop, I don't think he'll have too much trouble doing that. Johnny Stokes, though, now up to 6th place, and he's battling Barvish for the top 5. He may have come out well behind the Mercedes, but he can still definitely salvage a top 5 result out of this race. And the champion from 2 seasons ago comes down towards the hairpin. He's got DRS. It should be a simple move, you would have thought. Barvish goes to the inside to defend, though, and actually he comes back on the racing line, and Johnny is not close enough. Barvish uses a lot of ERS there. In the background, Reshka getting past J. Cole for P8. And he's going to try and catch up to the train of 3 cars ahead of him with those fresh medium tyres, as Trogster already passed that Red Bull, who's really, really struggling on those tyres, and up into essentially 10th place and into the points again after that calamity on the opening couple of laps. J. Cole still following on behind Reshka. Speed Alcoholic still only about 3 seconds behind Lancer, but I think their dry pace is very similar, but the low grip pace definitely favouring Lancer and favouring him enough to give him this gap and give him full control of this race with just 11 laps to go at the end of this one. Clemo safely in P3 and Zoxua safely in 4th as well for Mercedes. No one anywhere near them, so it's the battle for 5th that we're really watching here. Barvish under pressure from Johnny Stokes and Jackalacco in the background. Reshka 2.5 behind as well on fresh mediums, so don't count him out either. But as they head through onto the back straight, it's going to be Johnny Stokes who is right behind this Alpine. Surely he gets it done this time. Barvish loses some time on the exit, and of course that's why Johnny's so far back. He hit the rogue bump. Barvish a little bit of a swerve to the right as Jackalacco tries to find his way through as well. Johnny Stokes breaks late. He gets it done. Barvish and Jacko still side by side behind him, though. It's going to be Jacko on the outside. There's another swerve from Barvish, but Jacko has to back out, and he stays P7. But Johnny up into the top 5 now. And yeah, he'll be disappointed with the time he lost due to the rogue bump. The death bump on the exit of that long right-hander. But he's still looking like he can secure a top 5 finish here, which would be a mighty drive. Patty Pat looks like he's into the pits finally in his Red Bull, and he's going to be well down now. Trogster in the top 10, but 12 seconds to J. Cole in front, who's now still challenging Reshka for P8, and Reshka is catching up to the cars ahead, so Reshka pulling J. Cole along here with his fresh mediums to get the Haas into the battle as well, unintentionally. Reshka really wants to catch up to the back of his teammate and get himself into this battle for the top 5. It's a brilliant battle between these drivers at the moment. Long may it continue. Still got 10 laps to go at the end of this one as Lancer takes us on to lap 19 of 28 with the fastest lap as well. He's gapped speed by 7/10 on this lap, and he looks like he's going to cruise to his first win of the season. Lou Simeons gets past Eisenborg further back for 12th place. And it's going to be all about these cars in the midfield, this battle for 5th place. Reshka's catching them ever closer. Now 1.7 seconds, or well, it's back up to 2 actually on the exit. But he's caught up by another couple of tenths on this lap. And, well, very wide at the final corner, but he does catch them by another 3/10. And this is lap. So it might own a 3-car battle for 7th or a 5-car battle for 5th. I much prefer the latter as a spectator. So just 9.5 laps left to run in this changeable and difficult to navigate Chinese Grand Prix in ESRL. Lancer looking for his first win of the season. Clemo looking to take the outright championship lead. Although Zoxyrus is reeling him in ever so slowly, just behind. Reshka 1.5 behind Jacko now as he tries desperately to get in this train. Jacko keeps the DRS. He's done very well there to stay in range. It's going to be Barvish, though, on the attack on Johnny Stokes towards the hairpin. Look at that closing speed for the Alpine. He goes for it to the inside. I think Johnny's just going to let him go. And hitting the apex for Barvish and getting ahead. Jackalacco in the midst, but he makes a big mistake on the exit of the hairpin. That's cost him a couple of tenths, and that is likely cost him a chance at the top 5 in this race. It could even have cost him P7 because Reshka's now in range. Johnny Stokes gets back ahead of the Alpine into 5th place, just further ahead. But Barvish looking to the inside of turn 2. Johnny leaves him the room. He's going to have the outside for 3 though, and Johnny's going to bundle him out of making a move there. Is Barvish going to send it? He's sent it into this corner before this race. He had a little think about it. He had a tiny little think about it. You could see his steering wheel slightly move to the right, but he decided against it in the end. And Johnny Stokes staying ahead for now. Jackalacco 1.3 behind. I think he's just too far behind now. He's got plenty of ERS in the tank, which he can deploy, but Barvish getting past Johnny in an unorthodox position, and that could get Jacko back into this. It has done. 8.5 tenths. He just needs to hold it through this corner. Johnny, again, trying to go side by side, and this is going to help Jacko as well. I think he got DRS. I'm pretty sure he had it. Reshka's now in this battle as well. J. Cole 2.5 seconds behind. So it's a 4-car train for 5th place now, as Johnny Stokes is going to have the DRS on the Alpine. Barvish pulls to the inside, but Johnny not interested in making a move. He sees Jacko behind and knows that he's now under pressure from behind as well. He has a half send into the hairpin, but backs out in the end. Reshka has well and truly joined the party now on his fresher medium tyres. And on to lap 21 they go. Johnny Stokes retaking 5th place, but the two Williams working together as they have done so far this season very well. Reshka, or Jackalacco rather, trying to go in the inside of Barvish at turn 2. Doesn't quite make the move stick in the end. Heading to turn 6. Oh, that's very late from Jacko. He locks the rears and loses position to his teammate. He saw what was coming before it happened. And that is a critical error from the Scottish driver. He is now out of DRS range. He's got to work very hard to get back in, but that is a costly error for Jackalacco. J. Cole's now a little closer to the battle as well. Jacko's got to deploy everything down this mini straight here. He doesn't deploy anything. That's so surprising. I don't know why he's not deploying. Maybe he knows better than me, but he's losing some time out that corner. He's lost DRS. That's a huge mistake from Jacko. I do not know why he did not deploy down that straight. He would have easily stayed in DRS, but now he's lost it, and he's going to lose so much time on the run to this hairpin. Barvish, Johnny Stokes leading the pack, but Barvish right behind. He pulls to the inside. There's contact, more wheel banging. Barvish just cannot seem to overtake someone without banging wheels. So there's a Mercedes round further ahead, is there? Who is that? Who is that that's round? Oh, no, it was Zuber. Excuse me. It was the lapped car of Zuber. It looked like a Mercedes for a second, but no, it was just Zuber. But Barvish and Johnny Stokes doing battle, and that brings Jacko back into the fight. So he'll be grateful for that as Zuber retires in the pit lane after that mistake and getting himself lapped. But Johnny Stokes is now going to be a little bit frightened of this Alpine behind him, because I don't think I've seen Barvish make a single move without sort of making a little bit of a swerve or banging wheels with the car he's battling with so far this race. I'm not going to lie. So Johnny Stokes will be gritting his teeth, desperate to get that top 5 finish that he will feel he deserves, and I would agree with him. Given the death bump that hit him earlier on. But Barvish will be trying everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen, to get himself into that top 5 instead, as will Reshka. He's not too. He's right behind as well. Jacko's in this fight too. It's a 4-car battle for 5th place. That was Paddy Pat. I think that was Lou Simeon's losing the car further back. But here they go down to the hairpin. Barvish way too far back to make a move this time. Brakes nicely down the gears and stays just behind the Season 6 champ. So through the final corner for the 22nd time, and onto lap 23 they go. Johnny still leads this train. Jack Alacco losing out a little bit there. He just doesn't quite have the consistency of the cars ahead of him right now. That's another mistake. I think that was from Scott further back, who's in 11th place. He's agonizingly out of the points, 6 seconds behind his good friend Trugster, who is in the top 10 and looking to take a point away from today, which I think he would deserve as well. J. Cole now 3.8 seconds behind this little train. So I think he is well out of this battle, and he is going to be taking home 2 points unless we get some late drama here. Lou Simeon's into the pits. Is that going to be an early retirement? I think most likely. Yeah, there we go. There it is. But these 4 still going at it. This is the only battle on track at the moment, pretty much. So this is what we've got to focus on. It's Johnny Stokes with Barvish, and then Reshka and Jacko. I think, thankfully... Oh, here we go. Look at this. Barvish looking to the inside, but Reshka looking to go through both of them. What a move from the Williams driver. He's down the inside of Johnny Stokes, and he's up to P5. What a brilliant move from Reshka. Johnny Stokes down to 6th, and Barvish down to 7th. He was looking for the attack, but he turned out to be the defender from Reshka, and now Johnny Stokes is looking to get back past, but this man is a hard driver to pass with his low wing setups, and Johnny Stokes is about to find that out as they head through turn 2. But Barvish on the inside, I think there was contact, a little bit of wheel bang as they went through. Barvish trying to get the exit to get his way through, but he has to yield in the end. Jacko just watching and waiting in the background. Finley's AI is battling for 14th. And doing a good job of it at the moment. But it is... By the way, Lancer has pulled another 3 seconds to Speed Alcoholic. He's now leading by 6.5 and cruising to victory. Clemo cruising to 3rd place as well, and Zoxuus 14 seconds ahead of this pack of cars. So the top 4 pretty much locked in, bar some late drama. But it's all about this battle for the top 5. This is fantastic stuff. J. Cole will be disappointed that even with all this battling, he's just not closing at all. Johnny Stokes on the inside of Reshka, though. There was a mistake, I think, from the Williams driver through that corner. And a bit of contact as well. Barvish is going to be with them. They're going to be 3 wide, I think, down towards the hairpin. Jack Alacco is going to be licking his lips in the background, hoping for something to go wrong. But it's going to be Barvish on the inside. They're 3 wide into the hairpin. Johnny yields as Barvish goes very deep and forces Reshka off the circuit. Johnny Stokes gets both of them on the inside. Great, smart racing from the Season 6 champ. It's Reshka down the inside of the final corner. He keeps P6, but it's Johnny back into P5. This is brilliant stuff. Jacko well and truly in this as well, but he's just got to sit there and watch at the moment, as he has been doing for a while. Oh, never mind. That is his sitting and watching over. He is round after contact with Barvish, and I'm not sure whose fault that was. I only got to see it once, and it was a terrible angle. So we'll see if that ends up in stewards later on, but that is Jacko now surely out of this battle for 5th place, and he'll be annoyed with that. He'll definitely be irritated because he is having a great drive today, and I don't think he deserved that at all. He's still comfortably ahead of J. Cole at least, So he should be able to hold on to 8th place. He might even get back into it if they start battling again. Oh, who's that round? It's Barvish! Barvish round just ahead. He wasn't very close to anyone, so he must have just binned it on his own. And it's all coming unstuck for this battle for 5th place in the last few laps here. Barvish now down to 8th place and under pressure from J. Cole, who probably can't believe his luck in the Haas. He thought he was consigned to 9th place, but no. Here we go. He's going to have the DRS, and he comfortably gets past the Alpine on the run to the hairpin. He is up to 8th place. Jack Alako standings firm in 7th, but Reshka just trying to hold on to Johnny Stokes. Those mediums are going to start falling away from him now in these last few laps. Just 3 laps to go for these drivers now. And Reshka and Johnny Stokes are going to be doing fantastic battle all the way to the end, I hope. Through turns 1 and 2, Johnny very deep at turn 1, and that allows Reshka to close right up to the back of the V-carb. And through turn 3 they go. Reshka needs a good exit here. He gets a decent one. He's still just about behind. Jacko 3 seconds down, so it's all about these two. J. Cole and Barvish doing battle as well. Barvish around the outside of 3. Makes the move. He's back up to 8th place, but J. Cole tries to look to the inside for the next corner. Decides against it in the end, but if he can hold on, he'll have the DRS to the hairpin once again. Johnny Stokes looks like he has the pace on Reshka, but the DRS just too strong for him to pull away entirely. And we're going to have 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Lancer takes us on to lap 27. Still holding on from Reshka, but Reshka not even using any ERS. He's saving everything he's got for this straight down to the hairpin. And we know what his straight line speed is like. I think this will be a simple move for the British driver. He pulls to the inside of his countryman. Johnny Stokes tries to hold on, but there's nothing he can do. Reshka on the inside. Johnny tries to switch back on the exit, but doesn't quite get the power that he wants. And he stays in P6. But yeah, I mean, other than Barvish and J. Cole, this is pretty much the only battle on track. So thankfully I won't get Patty Pat trying to explain to me how to do commentary after this race, thankfully. But Reshka just ahead of Johnny Stokes. I jest, Patty. For P5 at the moment. 2 laps to go. It is so close out there between these two and these two as well for 8th place. J. Cole is in a battle once again. He was driving on his own for about, I think, 15 laps or so that he was on his own for. Well, it's pretty much 15 laps exactly. That's how long he's been on the hards. But now he's finally got a battle to fight, but he's going to have to work hard. The medium tyres of Barvish will be falling away a bit, but they'll still be decent at this stage. J. Cole is not going to have the same luxury on his 15-lap-old hards. Here they go through the double left-hander. J. Cole right behind. Scott gets the first track limits penalty of the day, which is astonishing, actually. Well done, ESRL. Barely any track limits penalties out there. Just the one in the end. Trugster looking like he's going to hold on to 10th place, but meanwhile Reshka is gapping Johnny Stokes. Johnny has the DRS. He will close up now, and as we head on to the final lap at the end of this one, tries to get down the gears. He needs a good exit here. Reshka goes very deep. That's exactly what Johnny needed, and he's well in range again, and he is surely the favourite to take 5th place now. He's going to have the DRS for the hairpin for the final time. Barvish staying ahead of J. Cole as well for another lap, but J. Cole will have the DRS as well. He's got plenty of battery in his car as well. And through turns 1 and 2 they go. Reshka and Johnny. What a battle this has turned out to be. Jack Alako looks like he's going to cruise to 7th place. He will feel he maybe deserved more, but he'll at least be happy to beat Barvish, who's the one who took him out. Or, well, he may feel he took him out. I'm not sure what happened, personally. But Reshka just ahead for now, but remember the straight line speed of that Williams. The low wings that he's got could pay dividends here. Johnny Stokes, he needs to be as close as possible to make the DRS count. He's got plenty of ERS left. He will fight this with all he's got. We're cut to the front though, because J. Joe Lancer, what a drive from him. He comfortably wins the Chinese Grand Prix. It's going to be Speed Alcoholic to take P2, but we've got to cut back to this battle for 5th 5th place. We've been watching it all race long, and here we go. The final lap. It's the final chance for Johnny Stokes to take it. Reshka's going to drain everything, but so is the V-carb. They head down towards the hairpin. Johnny's got the slipstream. He's got the DRS. He pulls to the outside. It's surely going to be a simple move for Johnny. Reshka's going to give it all he's got on the brakes into the hairpin. He does indeed. He hits the apex. He hits the car in front as well. He gets ahead. Johnny, I don't think, is going to be particularly happy with that. They head through the final corner. Can Johnny get him to the line? No, he can't. Reshka gets him on track, but he may be met in stewards for that one, I think, into the hairpin. I'm not sure. Again, I only get to see these things once, and I don't get the best angle, so that is up to Johnny, but it's Reshka who gets it on track just about with a fantastic late brake move into the hairpin. Clemo takes home a fantastic 3rd place as well. What a drive from him, and he takes the outright lead of the championship. And it's a great result for Mercedes, 3 and 4, with Zoxerus finishing just behind him. J. Cole couldn't quite get the better of Barvish in the end. He has to settle for 9th place, but at least he had a good battle on the last few laps. Barvish secures 8th. Trugster gets the last point on the board. And then it's going to be Scott, Eisenborg, Patipat, Mahmood, and Finley's AI rounding out the grid. Speed says it was an amazing drive from Lancer. It's hard to disagree. He seemed unbeatable on track today. Driver of the day, I am going to give to... Oh, it's a tough one, actually. Let's have a look at the full order. So it's Lancer who takes the win and the fastest lap as well, a 33.6. So maximum points for him today, 26 on the board, and he will join the championship fight, I think, with that result. First win of the season. Congratulations to him. Speed Alcoholic in 2nd place. And then Clemo. What a drive from him to 3rd. Zoxerus finishes 4th with Reshko in 5th, just ahead of Johnny Stokes in the end, who got very unlucky with the death bump on the exit of the long right-hander. Jack Halako in 7th. A great drive from him as well, actually. Barvish in 8th. J. Cole in P9, and Trugster rounds out the last of the points-paying positions. Then it's Scott, Eisenborg, Patipat, and Mahmood with Finley's AI a lap down, and then Lucimians, Zuba, and Chalda not able to finish the race. Oh, drive of the day is tough. I mean, it could go to Clemo, it could go to Reshka, Jacko. Who do we give it to? It could go to Lancer as well. I'm going to give it to... God, all of those 4 deserve it. Usually I decide these things by who has performed the most... who has performed the best compared to how they usually perform. Like, what's their usual performance and how much have they overperformed their usual. That's how I usually decide these things. But honestly, like, all 4 of them did. Clemo, I think, less so. Clemo's still a fantastic drive, a champion's drive, some might say. Very early to say that, of course, but that's, you know, the sort of recovery drive that can get you a championship further down the line. But Lancer performed maybe above expectations. Jacko and Reshka both did. You know, I'm gonna give it to Lancer because he was just unbeatable. He withheld the pressure, and he just had that edge that he needed in the wet. I think that's why I'm going to give it to him, because he and Speed, if Speed was right with him in the DRS in the dry, when it went back dry, then it would have been a titanic battle for the lead. But Lancer did enough in the wet. He was just had that edge over Speed in the low grip conditions, and that's what won him this race. And he was cool, calm, and collected throughout. So I think I am going to give it to Lancer today. I don't usually give it to runaway winners, but I think he's deserving of it today. So congratulations to Lancer on driver of the day. But I think that is going to be that. A long day, of course, with full qualifying, but I think fully worth it. So thank you all ever so much for watching. Thank you, everyone in the chat. And we'll be back for more ESRL next week. We will be heading to Miami next week for round number 5. We're back to normal qualifying again. And we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. So thank you, everyone, ever so much. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all next week for more ESRL. Goodbye.